going on? It is the Plan C podcast coming at you on a Tuesday night. Welcome to the podcast. I am here with Cameron.
Yo, your boy Solo.
My bad. We are over Skype. We have a great podcast coming for y'all today or tonight or this afternoon, whatever you're doing. Interviewing local artist Julian Alexander. Cameron, you want to tell us a little bit about the interview?
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Julian's inspirations. We got to talk about where he's from. We're going to be getting to his thoughts relating to quarantine. We're going to be talking about his thoughts relating to black art. We might have a rant in there that some people may or may not like. We have some advice for young creatives that may be listening to, and we have some maybe questions that you guys might find interesting.
If you do not follow us on Instagram or Twitter, check us out at plan_C_podcast. We'd love a follow. Check us out on Apple, on Spotify. Give us a follow, a thumbs up, 5 stars. Tell us why you like us. Tell us why you hate us. You know, just any kind of interaction. We are starved for attention in our days of social distancing. So, you know, help us out. Help us out, please.
Facts. This is actually our first interview, hopefully one of many. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we have a name for it.
We'll probably have a name by the time this is all chopped and edited. Shout out James. But yeah, I think that's it. Let's dive into it. Hope everyone is ready. Here we go. All right, what is going on, guys? Today, as we previously mentioned, we have the artist Julian Alexander, or at Snakebone. Cameron, why don't you tell us a little bit about Mr. Snakebone?
All right, so Julian, one of my bros from middle school, fantastic artist, very great practitioner of acrylic painting, usually painting portraits. Now, almost, I guess tomorrow, will be a graduate of SVA, went to Edward R. Murrow High School, Math and Science Middle School, half from Brooklyn, half from Connecticut. You know the boy, at Snakebone, here today.
You just gave this man's whole life away. What's going on, Julian?
Hello, thank you for the biography. I've done one other podcast, and that was probably like the best intro. Like that was a good intro.
Yeah, he really covered all the spots there.
Thank you. So let's get into the interview. I want to do like a warm-up question just to make sure we're loose, make sure we can keep this going. So Julian, what is on your mind right now?
I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous.
We make you nervous?
Podcast. No, not you guys. Just the idea of speaking in general. But I think it's important. Like, I had a conversation with Cameron earlier about, you know, just the fact that like these podcasts can be useful to a lot of people. So I think it's just something that it's really beautiful what you guys are cultivating. So I'm glad to be a part of it. So it's a good nervous. It's a good.
Yeah, of course. You are absolutely a friend of the pod.
Mm-hmm.
So my other question would be, what would you like to change? Anything.
Oh, that's broad.
It's very broad. It's a warm-up question.
I think I don't want people to be so judgmental.
Wow. Not saying COVID gone. Damn, Julian, you're making some choices.
Wow, this is crazy.
He just said, "Don't be." I wish people weren't judgmental, and he's just like, "Yo, you didn't say COVID to be gone? Terrible."
Exactly. Canceled.
Yeah, but you could go ahead and cancel me right now. I'm about to go outside and start coughing.
Oh, okay. No mask.
No mask. No, but in all seriousness, I feel like being, you know, I want people to perceive things more honestly, if possible. I know you can't do it 100%, but just I want it to be something that people actively work on. Especially with my art, I feel like my art really tries to encourage or like confront that directly.
Word. How do you feel that, you know, your style conveys the sort of non-judgment and honesty that you're talking about? I'm
not really the type of person artistically to like try to make things look pretty. I'm just more interested in like conveying the feeling of it. So like there may be like, you know, a beauty factor to it, but I think like a lot of the mark making is not really fussed over. It's just I like the immediacy of things and how intimate that can be. And then also the fact that like the subject matter itself, because I do a lot of portraits of people of color. And me and Cameron actually went to this show at the New Museum. This artist called Jordan Castile did a talk. And while she was talking, she was discussing that, you know, she does a lot of work, paintings of black men and automatically, like, you know, looking at a black figure becomes politicized because of the context of the country and world. So she was saying, you know, like, ultimately her work is not necessarily about the race. It's a factor, but it's not about that. And I think that very much aligns with what I'm trying to do with my work. It's just, I'm just depicting honest moments, and the people are brown because I'm brown. You know what I mean? I don't want that to have to be the deciding factor of what the work is about.
That's actually really funny that you mentioned that, because Cameron and I had talked about doing something called maybe questions, and just, you know, questions that, you know, maybe we'll ask them. And one of those for me was, why don't you paint white people? Yeah. So it's funny that we get to it a lot earlier than I thought we would.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I'm against doing. It's just that I want to, like, I don't know. I feel like it's easier for me to tell these stories through like a lens of like a person of color. I relate more, I guess.
Word. Yeah. I mean, your art is your art, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it should be what, you know, you want it to be.
On that kind of same note, like, I find that also as an artist, one of the questions people ask like the most is like, oh, what does your art mean? How do you feel about people attributing meaning to your art?
They can say what they want. I think everything is valid. I don't think I can't think off the top of my head of a situation that I've ever had where somebody has told me like, this is what I feel about your art, and I've thought they were wrong necessarily. I embrace it. I really like actually encourage it. As long as they're not saying like, as long as they're not saying what I told you about, it's like, it'll be somebody riding a bike and they're like, oh, it's because, you know, it's about this person being black. And I'm like, no, it's
being
about
black while riding a bike.
Like, yeah. And it makes you confront like, why did you even think that was the main drawing point?
I like that.
But, yeah. It's just something to think about. But I encourage people to, like, you know, take what they want from it.
It definitely, like.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that, you know, I think it's interesting that, you know, you just by doing that, you're simply challenging the mindset.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just you know, I find that cool.
Thanks.
So you know, these times they're super fucked right now. Essentially, there's not a lot going on in terms of jobs right now, and people aren't leaving their houses much. You know, in your own words, how are you able to function just as an artist during COVID-19?
Honestly, I think I have been doing okay. Like recently, in the past couple of weeks, I've been really productive. I don't know why necessarily. I can't. It just comes and goes in phases. Like, I think there's definitely been a time to sit and reflect and be with myself before that I got to that point. So I think everyone should really like take that time and don't feel bad. Like, feel like you should be being productive, because that's where I am right now. I will not always be in that space, you know.
I like that.
So I think that's big. Like, and it goes with the judgment thing. It's like, you know, don't judge yourself, especially now with social media, because we're like seeing people do all these things, or like people will be like, there was a pandemic, why haven't you started 10 businesses and own a Fortune 500 company?
Apply the pressure.
Yeah, like you don't have to apply pressure right now. Pressure is being applied on you.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, facts.
It's crazy. Like, just chill, bro. Chill. I think I definitely took that time to chill. And then what's weird is that now I'm in a space where I don't know if you can tell me if you can relate to it, but like now that I'm being productive, it's almost bad, and I don't want to be so productive because I'm like singularly focused on working because I'm locked in the house with nothing else to do.
Facts. It's hard to like justify your time doing other things, I find.
Yeah, it really is, especially now. I've been like trying to ride my bike more, but that's about it.
Well, it's just like you said that, it's okay to not be productive every day, and sort of having that mindset of like, you know what, like, yes, right now I'm busting my ass and I am doing hella shit, but like 2 weeks from now, that could be a different thing. My, my motivation could be other places. I think it's really, really important that you recognize that, because I think with creative stuff, it's very easy to sort of feed into the like, oh, I'm not doing enough, and oh, I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that. So I applaud your effort in having that mindset. I just think if more people had that, I think, the world would be a lot more relaxed.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I also like I'm also someone that deals with like the constant pressure of like, oh fuck, I'm not doing enough. Oh fuck. Like, what's gonna happen?
So true.
It just like
You are so much pressure on yourself.
it like honestly sometimes really, really bugs me out. But what I would like to ask you, what techniques have you been using to kind of take this time to self-reflect and be at peace so you don't have to deal with stuff like that?
I mentioned it earlier, but I've been like riding my bike a lot and going further distances. So for me, like physical exercise has been really helpful. What else have I really been doing? There was a point where I was meditating every single day, and I don't think I haven't been doing it every day anymore. But I think I'm probably gonna go back to that and be consistent with it because it feels fulfilling to be in a place where you're like aware of why you're thinking certain things. Or just noticing patterns within yourself. I feel like that'll help me a lot. That's pretty much it. Like, honestly, yeah, physical exercise and meditation have helped. I was playing, I recently just bought Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And
oh, nice.
Bro, man, that game is amazing.
Yes, sir.
I haven't played that much of it, but like I just got to a point in the game where I was like, I got running. I got past like the initial stages.
Yeah, you're off the plateau.
Yeah, I have a horse now, so I'm really I'm chilling. I've just been like riding horses, looking at the sunset in the game and stuff. It's fun. And then there's Animal Crossing I got to get back to.
I hope you're playing on your TV because that game is too beautiful to not play on your TV.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not. I'm about to do it.
Yeah. No, you got to make that change, man.
I never.
Also,
you too.
Quick shout outs to the Switch.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you have a Switch, send us your Switch codes. We will add you.
Yeah, we might be doing, well, not might be. We are going to be doing a Smash live stream sort of kind of thing for a couple hours where Cameron and I will probably do an hour of 1v1ing, and then we'll open up an arena for everyone to join. And you know what? If you can kick our ass, come kick our ass.
Oh, I'm in there.
We love it.
Let me know when.
Yeah, it's going to be after we beat Danganronpa.
Bet.
Yeah. And, that just brings me to my next question I have for you. Just in terms of facing challenges, obviously you can't do it normally these days because your resources are limited. But, how do you go about, the challenges that you face, and what are some of these biggest challenges that, relate to COVID?
Challenges that I face relating to COVID?
Yeah, like, yeah.
Okay. Um, it's really like I'm a person who I'm a very I really like being outside.
Mhm.
So like it just it's something that like sustains me. Like I'm always outside. Like y'all know this. So um it's really like rough, I guess, being constantly in the house because it's like mentally I've been with my own thoughts a lot.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's what I was talking to you about, like um being singularly focused on, on like work now and like flipping a switch. It's like I'm super productive, I'm super not productive. It's like either or, you know what I mean?
I got you.
That's been hard because it's very turbulent. Like there's never been a day where I've been like I'm okay. It's always like it's either I'm super on or I'm super off.
I totally feel that. I think like it might be a quote from somewhere, but it's just like one of the hardest things for people to do is like most people can't sit in a room with their thoughts for 30 minutes. It's like
It is so hard.
it's like really difficult for a lot of people. But on that note, like obviously there has been a lot of like everything in the media right now is like entirely negative. Like if you were to go on the news, if you're watching the news, by the way,
Oh, it's so depressing.
stop.
Don't do it.
watching
Don't
the
do it. My mom
Turn
was
it off.
my mom was doing that. My mom
Turn it
was all
off.
up on the news and it was killing me for a while.
Don't do it. Please
Brett, like-
don't do it.
And aside, like on Mother's Day, I was watching I was watching a movie with my mom, and then NBC came on, and it's Mother's Day, and you know what they said for their fucking Mother's Day message?
I don't want to know.
They're well, I'm gonna tell you because it's an example, but it was like, oh, like let's give a shout out to this mom who hasn't seen their daughter in like in 2 months since COVID. She's worked super hard and she can't see her family, so we should thank her and we should give condolences to the mother that passed after dealing with complications from COVID. And I'm like, all right, so Mother's Day, now in order to be like respected on Mother's Day, you have to be going through some like life defeating shit. You know what I mean? It's like, is that the message we're trying to send on Mother's Day? It's not like, hey, let's respect our mothers, let's be with them, spend time with them, be grateful. You know what I mean? Why isn't that the fucking message instead of like, hey, let's give condolences to all these parents that have died? Like, what the fuck?
Word. What about the fucking single mothers who are at home with 3 kids and yeah, they're all healthy, but they all got to go to fucking school and, she's got to make sure they're all doing their schoolwork and then she's got to do her job and shit like that. Where's her thanks?
Yeah, right. It's like, why can't the media actually try to promote positivity and productivity and happiness instead of like bullshit? So
it is so rough, and it really projects because you can tell who's been watching the news when you go outside, and people like there's something very strange about. I understand people are doing it to keep me safe, but when I go outside and I have my mask on, I'm doing, following the rules, and then somebody will see you and then cross the street. It's like I get it, I understand why you're doing it, and I applaud it, but it's so isolating.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's true.
It's the same feeling I felt when I walked through Park Slope and all those like and all the people that are like gardening stop their hoses like it's a nigga. Like, you know what I mean? It's the same shit. Same shit. Like what, you can't water your plants because you saw a black person? Is that what it is?
No, they just gotta watch you just in case they need to spray you down.
And then on top of all this, we gotta say goodbye to Ahmaud Arbery. It's just like, you know what I mean? The violence is still going on. There's still other problems on top of all this too, and it's just like, oh my god, like it's like news fatigue. Like I can't engage with it all the time.
For real.
How do you like when you are encountered with it? What do you do?
That was gonna be my question.
When I'm encountered with the news.
Well, I don't know. Just like.
How do you deal with the negativity of the news media?
That's a good question.
Or even just your own negativity.
I just have to be very deliberate about when I'm gonna give attention to it. There will be times where like I will. Recently, I've been trying to like if I see something and I feel like it needs to be acted on, or I feel like it's really important, even though it's negative, I will give my full attention to that for some period of time, and then and I'm just gonna turn it off.
I got you.
No.
Yeah, that's good. You know, moderation, right?
Yeah, it's like because I guess the mind goes to like, you know, if it's hard to think about, I'm just gonna think about it all at once, like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Yeah, I feel that.
But it hasn't been too frequent. Like I've actually been like avoiding a lot of the news recently. Yeah.
That's a good
I haven't been encountered with too much of it, but it'll come up. It'll come up eventually.
All right,
Yeah, right.
So I'm gonna play a reverse Uno card. And Julian, do you have any questions or any topics that you would like to bring to the table?
Yeah, I want to talk to both of y'all about how you deal with burnout. And like it could be, so first I want you to answer it like, you know, related to the coronavirus situation, and then secondly just in general. Or that could be one answer if it hasn't changed much for you guys, but I just want to know.
Cameron, I think you should go first.
Got it. So relating to burnout, one of the things that I do, which you mentioned before, was meditate. Like totally, like if anybody is having trouble where you feel like you're paralyzed or you don't want to work or whatever it is, learn how to meditate or watch a video on meditation. I guarantee it will make it much easier to act on things. But specifically for burnout, what do? I take a walk. If I'm being like very frank, the first thing I do is I take a walk and then I think about why I feel burned out. Because one thing I've realized about burnout is that it's mostly mental than it is like sometimes a reality. Like obviously like sometimes you can work and then you're like, oh, I'm not thinking any ideas, like, but like usually like, you know, fucking take a nap, you know. But if it's like the mental like burnout where it's your mind kind of messing with you, I would say I try to have like an internal dialogue of why I feel that way, whether it be because I'm comparing myself to others or whether it be because I feel like I haven't done enough or whatever it may be. And I think after I acknowledge why I'm feeling that way, it gets a lot easier because we can only kind of affect what we can do. And being aware of that is really kind of inspiring in a time like this.
Right.
Word. Yeah, so personally, honestly, it's just about pacing. And if I feel that, you know, I'm getting that feeling coming on, whether it's, you know, working on a podcast I don't want to work on, or I've worked, you know, my shift and it's been a hot day and I got to stream for 3 hours and it's just like, oh, God damn. I always make sure I throw something in there, just sort of for me, whether it's just like, all right, you know what? I'm going to take 15 minutes and watch this movie review on YouTube and it's going to be really funny and I'm going to have a great time for like 10 of the 15 minutes, and then I'm going to feel like a little better and get back to it. Another thing I think is really important is eating. Eating and drinking is so important for motivation because if you're not hydrated, you're going to get a headache, you're going to be distracted, blah, 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 blah. And the same thing with eating. Like, people don't realize how much, you know, having an empty stomach can mess with your emotions. So I think those two are very important. And just like taking breaks as well. Like if it's been 3 hours, take a fucking break, you know?
Yeah, I actually just started doing that. where I was like, okay, I'm only working in like 2 to 3 hour spurts of time because that's where you can maximize your concentration. And then just chill for a little bit and then come back.
Exactly.
Just vibes,
That's what I'm trying to do.
Also, viewers that are listening, if you're listening to this, take a break, drink some water.
Seriously.
Drink some water, people.
Facts. Right now. Right now.
Right
I don't want
now.
to hear any
Drink that
excuses.
water.
Do it right now. Chug a look. I'm gonna drink some water too. Here
I'm
we
gonna
go.
drink some water too.
So,
Ready? Unscrewing the cap.
Pouring out for the homies.
I got one more question for you guys.
Delicious. All right. Yes. Now we are hydrated. We are ready to answer more questions.
When this is over, and you could take like, if you could take a vacation like anywhere, where would it be right now? Because I know I'm itching to travel. I don't know. about
Southeast Asia.
Travel. That's tight.
Southeast, like I like a Cambodian beach with some clear ass water and them little ass huts, like drinking a beer, just chilling, smoking a little something. Like that
Word.
sounds just awesome. And just like sitting on a lounger, feet in the sand, out like sunglasses. I don't gotta worry about shit. Like, ooh,
Word.
yes sir.
Word. I like that. I like the sound of that a lot.
What about you, Cameron?
This is always an interesting question for me because I'm actually someone who like doesn't like to travel that much. Like for me, I just like to be in a place where I'm comfortable. Like it could be like a vacation to me is like going to the park. It's like it just it feels like it's anywhere.
This man is low maintenance.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
very
here's
low
what you
maintenance.
make it.
Like I don't need to like I would love to go to Japan just to get like in terms of merchandise and all that good shit. But anywhere I can just vibe, whether it be a beach, any place that's relatively warm, like I want to freeze my balls off. You feel me? You can't chill during that. But yeah, anywhere warm and comfortable, I'm vibing.
Word. All right. So I am wait, Julian, do you have an answer to the question?
I think Japan is like the next on my list that I was gonna top off. Like
Hey,
I gotta go. I've spent too much time. Like so I've spent a couple years like taking Japanese classes. And I never used it. Like
Can you read
never
kanji?
really yeah.
Nice.
Like I'm pretty decent, but I just never I would use it occasionally, like reading manga, because there's this spot if you're in New York called it's called Book Off, and you can get like really yes.
That's the spot, bro.
You can get like if you can read Japanese, you could just like get really cheap manga there, and I basically learned it specifically for that reason.
Wow.
I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, you don't want to engage with the culture," and it's like that came later. But first,
First
the
it was
initial motivation-
manga.
Yeah, that was the initial motivation. But yeah, that's probably where I would want to like travel to if I had to say somewhere new. Personally, though, because right before this ended, I was in California. I was in Oakland, and then like between there and San Francisco, and I have a friend who lives out there. Shout out Nate, and like he
What up, Nate?
that I've been friends with him since like kindergarten, so it's kind of cool that like we're still cool, and he he lives out there for school, and he's just gonna stay out there after school, and I really liked it, and I was there for a week, and then we came back, and maybe another week after that, coronavirus like shut down everything, so I almost feel like that vacation was cut short, and I would want to go back.
So I am officially saying we're no longer talking about stuff involving COVID. I kind of want to just keep it to you now, because you are the focus of this podcast. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to ask you a couple more questions not related to COVID.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm
All
always
right. So, the sort of culture of your school, SVA, is largely international students, correct? Oh, like half the student body, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, if not half, like a very large amount.
if
So-
not more than half.
So
Yeah.
you would say it's very counterculture to yours, right?
In some ways, yeah. I would say.
Are you
yeah.
eating?
Yeah, I'm
My
having
son
a
is eating on the pod. Okay.
It's a cookie. We're talking about you eat to decompress.
No, I got you. I was just gonna ask, being in a so abnormal sort of American college environment, do you feel that affected your college experience? Like, how do you feel that affected your college experience?
Oh my God, yeah. I feel like not only so there was the the international culture of it too, which I think was honestly pretty cool. I liked it a lot because I got to learn a lot about it. Just learn about a lot of different people, and actually break down some of the preconceived notions that I think people have before they come to America and meet somebody that actually is this race. You know what I mean? But then there's also the aspect of not even just with the people, but just the way that the infrastructure of the school is set up without really a campus. It's more just buildings across the city. So the biggest thing is that I always felt like I was going to work and not school. I don't know if you can relate to that, Cameron, but it felt like I was going to work.
Yeah, I definitely had a similar vibe of, especially because there wasn't a campus. SVA doesn't have it's a city campus, so you just got to be walking across streets and people and stuff like that. It doesn't really feel like you're in college all the time, and you kind of just go there for 3 hours and leave. And the other thing that made it feel like I was going to work is that niggas did not hang out after class.
I feel like we didn't start hanging out with people really until Black Student Union. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But BSU was I remember that was the first time I really had a college experience in the stereotypical, because we went to Yale for this thing called the Black Solidarity Conference in February, where a bunch of schools, BSUs, just congregate, and there's just a whole bunch of events and panels.
Would you mind just clarifying what BSU is?
Black
Student Union. Rep out SVA Black Student Union. If you listening, we love y'all.
I know y'all are listening because I'm gonna make y'all listen. But I feel like that was the first time I ever saw frats and had the campus experience, and it was actually really cool, and I was kind of jealous for a little bit. I was like, this is nice. I like this.
I wasn't living off the yard for how long?
And then I'm also I'm from Connecticut, so it wasn't the part of Connecticut where I was from. It's in New Haven, so it's a little bit different and familiar in other ways. So you know what I mean? So it's I didn't even know this was in this state. It was rediscovering something that was so close, and you had no idea it was right there.
Word.
So it was
like that. Yeah. So just sort of on the theme of Connecticut, actually, you were born in Connecticut and lived there until you were about 11, right?
So I was actually born here.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I was born in Manhattan, but I
Cameron lied to me.
Sorry, Cameron.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I was born here, but I my earliest memories are probably in Connecticut because I moved there when I was I don't know, pre-K. And then from there to I think 11 or 12, I was 11 or 12 when I moved to New York.
So do you trace any of, your artistic skills or inspiration from growing up in Connecticut during that time?
Definitely inspiration, because where I lived, the community was predominantly Black, and then so now in New York, I feel like there are neighborhoods that are predominantly of a certain ethnicity, but it's way less segregated in a sense. So I feel like it just became, that was something that made me actually look at race, because when I moved here, I never went to school with more than 2 white kids ever until I came here. So it made me appreciate other cultures in a different way. And I think that's why that really ties back into why ethnicity plays a role in my artwork.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest influence I can think of, and also just the scenery, because it's very wide open, and sometimes I love New York, but there are times where it gets overwhelming to me because there's so much going on. But in my work, I feel like there's a lot of open space, or the figure is the central element, and the background is kind of I don't want to say an afterthought, but it's a little bit more sparse, because that's kind of how it feels when I'm over there.
Yeah, because it's more your framing as opposed to, the subject.
Exactly. So I think those are the two biggest things. I didn't really start. I don't want to. I can't really shout out like any art teachers right now from there because I didn't really start taking art seriously until I moved here. Because of the whole like I moved here around middle school, and that's when I found out about like you could go to like LaGuardia or like specialized art schools for high school. And that wasn't really a thing before. Before it was just like you just went to school where you lived, you know?
Yeah.
So that was, I think that's why I started like really translating that experience when I got to New York in like an artistic way.
That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that actually. Yeah. I have a question. Now that we are kind of graduating, I don't know if you feel this way, but like to me, it almost feels like the me from like 4 years ago is like an entirely different person from the me today. Like, yo, fuck that dude. What? But like, like if you could speak to yourself 3 years ago, what would you tell yourself?
That is a great question. You're gonna be okay. Just chill. But I know that sounds like so generic, but it's real. I think it's something that I've had a lot of conversations about, and I've been repeating myself with this over and over again. But just the fact that like it's not good to be goal oriented to the point where you can only see the goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that.
And I think that's what I was 3 years ago. And like even I was that like a couple weeks ago. It wasn't until like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago where I was like, okay, I need to just focus on what I'm doing because you can't see that far into the future. So there's really no point in like trying to influence things that are that far out of your control. You know what I mean? It should just be like, did I do this today? Okay, I'll focus on what I'm doing. I'll do what I can. So it should be more about like doing than like searching for something. And I think 3 years ago, especially in college, like now that I'm about to graduate, when I first came into the school, I was like, okay, I'm gonna graduate and I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be doing this. I'm gonna like be at this particular stage in life. I'm gonna be ready to move out. I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna be whatever degree of success that I thought, whatever I thought success was. And now I feel like I'm still relatively successful in different ways, but it's just, you can't predict something like that. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. I think it's just, chill out, just focus on now. That's what I was very, very, very anxious.
For sure.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where you wish you could tell yourself like, all right, you can't control everything in the world. You can barely control any of it. You can control what you do.
Yeah.
And like, that's all you can control. Definitely wish that, 3 years ago, I sort of had that in my mind.
It's so big. It's so important.
On a similar note, what advice would you give to younger creatives?
Support. You build a network. Like you need a team. I think it's important to have a team. Like y'all are very supportive of me. And it's just like you need to have people to like, you need to have people that you uplift, and you need to have people to uplift you, because no one is an island. You know what I mean? And it's like, even if it's not in the sense of like accelerating business wise, because not everything is about work, not everything is about business, but just as a general tip, like you should not be afraid to like reach out to people, because it can really only help. Even if you have a bad experience with somebody, you'll learn from that still. You know what I mean? So it shouldn't stop you from reaching out. Yeah, and I think that's like important. Even though I consider myself, I feel like I can get along with a lot of different types of people. Like I've always been able to be in a lot of different rooms and be relatively comfortable, but I'm not the most extroverted person. Like I can get in the room, but I'm not gonna be like the most assertive person. I'm just not an assertive person at all. But you don't have to be. I just think you should put yourself in the right situations. Like if there's if your friends are, say you have a friend who's like a musician, like go to their concert. You never know who you might meet just by being there and showing support. Just be there. Be there for people. And it'll come back to you. It's like karma. I believe in karma. So.
Oh, karma for sure exists.
Yeah.
I grew up in, I've always grown up in Brooklyn. And I know Cameron has as well. So I guess this is sort of a question for both of you. As young black men growing up in an increasingly gentrifying city, how do you feel people treat the term black artist in the modern art world?
Oh, it's such a hot commodity right now too.
Yeah. It's crazy that like you even describe it like that.
It is. It's like a buzzword.
It is. It legit is.
That's wild.
You want to go first?
You want me to go first?
I'm asking you if you want to.
Nigga, you're the interviewer. You should get your interviewee. You got this shit, bro.
I don't know. I think it's important to have. It's important to have and to cultivate. But I also don't want it to pigeonhole people. Like, not all black artists, because when I think when people think of like black art, they don't think of the wide scope of it. I feel like they think of a particular thing, like something like what I do, where it's like very, very literal. It's like depictions of black people. That's, I feel like, what people think of. But like we are a multitude of things. Like our friend Emmanuel.
I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say our friend Emmanuel. He put together this show.
Shout out to Emmanuel.
Big shout out. He put together this show and featured both of us for our Black Student Union.
It was a great show.
And we actually shut the school down. It's still up. It was the last show before the coronavirus.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we shut the school down, man.
So your stuff is just still up there?
Yeah, it's still there. I tried to get it because some of the pieces sold, and I was like, I need to get these, and they're like, no, you can't come in until September. So, yeah. But yeah, so he, the thing that's so special to me about that show, there's a lot, but like one of the things that's really special to me about it is the fact that there were so many different types of mediums in that show. And it was just like, there's like a very broad scope of black art. And I think that should be acknowledged.
Yeah. So, I think if you were to show most people Cameron's art, they would not think black art, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, they look at yours and they would be like, oh, like, yeah, that is black art.
Yeah.
So Cameron, I would love to hear your answer as somebody who like has sort of grown up in the same neighborhood as myself.
To me, I like that black art is becoming something that is loved and something that is kind of desired, because obviously there was a time where black art wouldn't be considered art, and then there was obviously a time where black art was considered lower art. So I don't want to act like I'm not grateful that people do respect black art, but there's also this there's this thing where people don't necessarily know that black art is just art made by black people.
Yeah.
And they think it's like how
they're thinking of like
art.
dashikis and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they put it in a category. And I know people just love to fucking put things in categories. But one thing is also like how people will sometimes change their mind about black art because it's politically correct to like black art
Word.
sometimes bugs the fuck out of me.
It's also like I feel like when people and like every experience of every person is different. So obviously that means that every experience of every black person is also different. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like it goes to that thing of like I don't want it to look like one thing. I want there to be like a multitude of representation, because when it's all the same, then we have Joe Biden telling us that we're not.
Oh my
We're
God.
not black.
Yo.
No, I totally feel you. Like, one thing I would say is that
yeah, let's not even get into that. That's
Yeah.
for We're All
Joe
Screwed
Biden,
Part
he was
2.
He was wilding.
one thing I would say is that I would like it that when people look at black art, they don't look at it and try to feel like what it would be to be black. Like, when people look at black art, I don't want them, like, when people look at my art, which is my black art, I guess you would say, I don't want people to like try to feel like what it would be like to be me, or like why I made that artwork. Like, I don't want people to be crafting some bullshit story about, oh, they're trying to show how the black oppression is something that takes a while to get to by the little kid eating a lollipop. Like, come on. Like, I just wish that
Cap.
like, I just wish that people could look at black art and see themselves.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. I remember somebody she didn't mean anything by it. I know she didn't, but I was just thinking about it in the back of my head, and I was like, oh my God, that was like you just missed the point. But she was talking about, she was like, yeah, your work is about like black struggle. And I was like, these people are not struggling. Like, these are just like, I make like lifestyle illustrations. Like, they're chilling. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I think that was something that was like interesting, because I think those two words become synonymous sometimes to people.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if they see a black person being upset in a picture, they're like, oh, obviously something wrong was done to him. I'm like, well, what if he's just hungry? What if he's hungry?
What if his girl just broke up with him? Like, chill.
Exactly.
Yeah, like,
that happens to us too.
Yeah. Apparently, like, if you're in an art piece and you're black and you're unhappy, it's because you got the fuck beat out of you by like a policeman named Joe. Like, why?
Yeah.
For what reason?
Yeah.
It's so interesting that sort of art automatically has that framework in our society these days, especially for black artists. Just because, you look at, well, first of all, like, you look at, artists from Europe throughout the Dark Ages and, moving on to the 18th century. If they're white, that's not white art. It's just it's so interesting and fucked up that I don't want to say y'all are like relegated to this, but like, why, where is like, I don't know, where's the attention to detail for the black art? There's not just like a fucking textbook called white art, but I'm sure as hell there's a book about black art, and I'm not saying it necessarily. I'm saying it in that I think that it's not fair, the attention that's been given to these other artists, and for so long, just people have been. Again, it's just they file it away under black art rather than something that it actually is. I don't know.
Just art.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why is white art just art, and why is black art? Kind of thing. It's like, well, at the same time,
like when people talk, they do it to people too. Because I don't know, like in certain conversations, I feel like some people, they'll be talking and they'll be like, yeah, this dude was walking down the street. But then if the dude was black, they'd be like, so this black dude is walking down the street. So I'm like, wait, they're both
like
dudes.
Why?
It's like
it kills me, because I'm like, and then I'm like waiting for it to become relevant to the story, and it never does.
It never does. They were just
no. It's the same thing in like in literature. They're like, his skin was dark as the night, and like it's like I'm reading Huckleberry Finn. Like, why do I need to know this? Like, I know he's black. I don't need to know that he's like fucking glistening. Like, what is this?
Glistening.
Yeah, it does low-key feel like every time there's something that has to do with black people in media, they act like it's the first time they saw a black person.
Oh my god.
It's like y'all never saw a nigga? Y'all never saw one?
Facts.
And it's it's like that fucking, it just reminds me of that lady who just got her life twisted upside down for trying to call the cops on that black guy in Central Park.
I saw the headline and I didn't read anything, so I don't know what happened.
Essentially, a guy was bird watching. He happened to be black. And this woman was walking around with her dog not on a leash. That's going to scare away the birds. Man wants to bird watch. So he asked her to put the dog on the leash. And then, like, they get into an argument about it. And then she is, like, calling the cops, being like, this black man is threatening me. This black man is threatening me. And he's like, he's literally just filming her just standing there. It's just like, what the? And she actually, at one point, literally abuses her dog because she is so caught up in being racist. Like, she's holding this dog by the collar because she hasn't fucking leashed it yet. And, like, the dog is, like, trying to, like, get comfortable, and it, like, twists in a way that it hurts it. So she got her dog taken away. Like, the adoption people saw the video on Twitter and were like, yeah.
Her life deadass got flipped, turned upside down.
Yep.
She got doxxed.
Yep.
For those who don't know what dox means, it means that basically people found out where, like, her information and exposed it.
Where you work, where you live,
that
blah,
kills
blah,
me.
blah.
I don't know how people do that.
Honestly, though, but, like,
it's kind of scary.
I'm thinking about it. Like, think about it like this. If she had called the cops if she was successful in what she truly wanted, which was the cops to murder him, like, you may not think you're racist or something, but in that fucking moment, you are, like, wearing KKK sheets. Like, you fully are. You are trying to get this man killed because of what? Because of nothing.
And I haven't seen the video, but, like, the way you describe it, it sounds, like, funny to me, and then it's funny until it's not. It's only funny because the cops didn't actually show up.
The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this is hilarious. She's crazy. Yeah. And then I'm, like, thinking about it more, and it's like, oh, this is actually, like, a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know what the ironic thing is? Like, you know how we call people like people like those Karens?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, the white ladies that want to talk to the manager or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know those people. But for some reason, I'm just on the internet chilling, you know, vibing on YouTube. And I see a video talking about why the term Karen is racist now.
Shut
racist? The fuck up. Like when people were mad about Boomer. Like, shut up.
Boomer is ageist, bro.
Like, yeah, but you boomers was saying the N-word for a minute. Like, come on.
No, that's a fact. I'm just like, why do people choose these random issues to get worked up about when actual problems exist? You know what I mean? It's like, they're like, the problem here is that white lady was being called a Karen, not because she wanted that black man to be murdered. Like
also, she was called a Karen, but, like, which one of them was really in danger? Let's talk about it. Like,
oh my god.
Oh, I hate it. It's the same thing with I was talking to Radia about, like, Lana Del Rey. Did you hear about that?
No,
it was Lana, and then it was Doja Cat. Yeah.
Yo, pop music was tweaking this week.
It was insane.
Basically, Lana Del Rey was saying, you know, she's like, now that all these musicians, and the musicians that she named happened to be, I think, all black, with the exception of Ariana Grande. She's like, have made songs about, like, sex and, like, being promiscuous, blah blah blah. Can I go back to writing my songs about whatever she was? I don't remember. But she was saying that, like, you know, they're
wrote about sex.
Yeah, so she was saying like, oh, we're writing about this, and it's, it's people are not seeing it as valid, but they can do that. So people were turning it into this thing where she's like, she's going and like saying, screaming oppression because like black people are doing better than her, and I'm just like, well, realistically, like you should really, think before you have to go and look for oppression. You're looking for oppression. It's not there for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no. And like the thing that pisses me off about the Lana stuff is like one of her songs, one of her most famous songs begins with "My pussy tastes like Pepsi Cola."
You know what?
I've never heard this song. That sounds amazing though.
You know what the thing is? And don't let me go off, but like,
go off.
Why is it that today everyone has to be put upon by something? Like everyone has to be like, oh, this bad thing is happening. Woe is me. White people be all like, oh, woe is me. Like black people have affirmative action. Black people be like, woe is me. Blah blah blah. Like why can't y'all just shut the fuck up and do your shit? Like, I don't know, like don't get me wrong, like there are things that people can complain about, but I never understand it in that why is it always about them? Like anytime I hear someone talk about an issue and like, sure, they might get like the snaps if it's like, hey, you said something woke about blackness and stuff like that. But I'm like, but as soon as I hear it's like, that's why I can't do X, I'm like, hold up. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not gonna let niggas be a crutch just because being black is now like an excuse not to do shit. And don't get me wrong, this is across the board on everybody, whether it be whatever you identify with, whatever category, whatever you want to put yourself in. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a very modern problem of people essentially using wokeness to defend why they're not shit.
Oh my God. It's the new I have a black friend, so I'm not racist.
Yeah. And I'm like before, like I don't like before it was like, like when I was in high school, I had to have a whole conversation about like this person like, oh, why do black people get affirmative action, blah 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 blah. Woe is me, I don't get the benefits and that's why I'm not going to be successful. Like, yeah, shut the fuck up and just work hard on your tests. But like like now it's like everybody. Like I have conversations with other black people that are just like, yeah, it's just so hard for me. And like, yet we're in like Brooklyn and we're in like a relatively successful neighborhood. And I'm like, bro, you don't understand that if you live in like America at all, you're in like the 1% of wealth in like the world. Mm-hmm. Like you want to talk about having problems or you can't do shit? Yo, go to like bumblefuck in wherever, go to Sudan, like South Sudan or some shit, like go to some place that's like where like there's actual problems. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know why people in America complain the most.
I guess it's like context. Perception. Because when you're American, you have like there are certain entitlements that we have just by being here, that might be it.
Yeah. And I'm like,
yeah, it's that thing where like,
because I know a lot of like people. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off. No. Go. I know a lot of like immigrant families have very different attitudes towards like work and stuff. It's like, they're like, oh, I want you to be a doctor because I didn't come all this way for you to not be a doctor. Like, I guess maybe that's what it is, where it becomes like, how dare you feel entitled to do this, do X, Y, Z.
And I want to say, because like I feel like that's like a controversial opinion, but like I think that we can understand that things can be better without trying to make excuses as to why things suck and like, or why we can't do things. Like, why can't we just talk about how things can be better and have that be it?
Right. I think it goes to what we were talking about with the news, where it's like a constant cycle of problem, and never a solution.
Yeah, never a solution. It's like, oh man, woe is me, I can't do this. It's like, well, I don't really want to hear about why you can't do it. I want to hear about how we can make it so you can do whatever you need to do. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just like make that certain shift of like, oh, this everything sucks, to like, hey, we can do this. You know, I don't know. Something that sometimes gets on my mind and bugs the fuck out of me. But, you know, that might just be me being judgmental. But back to you, Julian. I don't want to rant.
Yeah, yeah.
My bad, y'all.
That's my bad. That's me getting my feelings. But I wanted to kind of shift the conversation to community and community building, because as we are doing now, we are kind of trying to build our little pod family, trying to support
our network.
Yeah, trying to support people like our bros. Julian, if you're an artist or a creative, we want to support you too. You know the vibes. So my question to you, Julian, is how do you think your peers or other emerging young professionals can help each other?
I think so. Definitely, I was saying, be there for people and don't be afraid to be there for people. Like if you see somebody and you're a fan of their work, regardless of whatever their follower count is on Instagram, because that's Instagram has become like the mode of business in some ways.
Facts. Same with clout.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like people actually get scared off by that, though. They see like a certain number in the follower count and they're like, oh, there's no point in me reaching out. But reach out. I think always reach out, and just you're not going to be able to build a community if you don't, actively try. You know what I mean? Try to get out of that shell. And I think it really just starts with conversation and just being intentional about like, just like showing love and surrounding yourself with the people that are gonna better you in the long run. That's big. That's really big.
That's a fact.
Because y'all, like, if you respect their work, then, and this goes for any person in general, but especially if they're doing something that you want to try to do, like, they know something that you don't, and you know something that they don't, so you're both equally worthy, and you can have like very valuable conversations.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
A follow-up question to that would be, as an artist or just as you, what information or help do you think would be most helpful to you?
Okay, so I didn't start learning about business until senior year of college. Like really, 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 like, and I think I'm still like like barely scratching the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But we had like one business class, and it was half a semester, and I've been in school for 4 years. Granted, I gotten a lot of, great advice from professors, like, across those 4 years, related to business, not in that class, but like to have a specific class dedicated to it, I kind of wish we had that earlier. So I feel like there should be like readily available business information in terms of like, pricing your work and reaching out to people, like how to present yourself in some way. Like there has to be something free or cheap or accessible, because it almost feels sometimes like school is like a barrier to access to some of that information. And I don't necessarily want it to be. That being said, I'm about to plug this product, if you don't mind. It's not my product.
No, you can plug it. Okay,
it's this book called the Graphic Artists Guild Handbook for Pricing and Ethical Guidelines. Very, very good. Very good pricing for like freelancing work, which I'm trying to like navigate myself right now. But it's just certain things. Like I kind of wish that information was just more readily available, because it's just like an enigma, and nobody likes to talk about how they're pricing their work.
Facts.
Nobody wants to talk about it. It's just not a conversation, but it should be. And then on top of that, there's there's just so much. I can't. I'm gonna go on a tangent.
All right. So, for anybody that's listening, if you have any information or anything relating to business or freelancing, please do hit up the pod. We will gladly share the information to Julian, aka Snakebone, as well as to anybody else that may be in the same difficulty. I feel like we could definitely, spread the information, spread the wealth.
Yeah.
And if you have any advice for us, we'd love that.
Like doctors, you go to school for 4 years, and then you go to med school for another 4 years, and then you do a year residency, and then you're a doctor. I don't know the whole process because I'm not a doctor, but it seems that it's a lot more straightforward. Or there's more people that you can talk to, but with art, everyone's formula is different. And I not to say that I wish that it was more standard, because people will learn for themselves, but I just wish there were more conversations about money.
Facts. All right, so for this last section, before we wrap up, we have our maybe questions.
Oh, we got some maybe questions for you.
Maybe questions. So,
yes, sir.
As we explained before, maybe questions are questions that we thought, oh, maybe we could ask you, and
maybe.
Now is the time. So, one of my maybe questions.
We'll only do one maybe question each.
You think? I think we can do a few.
No,
I think it should be funny.
Well, for a part 2, we can do more.
Oh, I was about to say lightning round.
We can do lightning round.
Yeah,
you know what? We'll do lightning round. All right, Cameron, go.
All right. So my first question of the lightning round of
quick.
maybe questions is, what is the wildest thing you've done in public for the lols?
Oh.
Okay, so there was this time where somebody sent me a text message, and I didn't want to engage with this person, and
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the exact situation you're going to talk about.
I stripped down to my boxers.
Oh, nice. Where were you?
I was on. Oh God, where was I?
You were on Flatbush.
Yeah,
For those who don't know, that is probably the busiest street in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, and walked not a whole block, but a decent percentage of the block in protest, I guess.
In your drawers.
I think that's the craziest. That was wild. That was.
All right, Cameron, lightning round. Let's go.
Oh, it's me again?
Well, I thought you had a lot of questions.
I got a few. Okay, so what do you think your art would look like if you were white?
Bro, you're stupid. I would probably be like a tattoo artist. I'd probably be doing I'd be culturally appropriate, and I'd be doing I'd be doing Japanese dragon tattoos or something.
Bet. Okay. If you were in a video game, what would be your highest and lowest stat?
That's great. I think my highest stat would be oh, that's tough. My highest stat would be charm. Isn't it charm or conversational skill? Charisma, yeah. I feel like I get along with people decently well. And then my lowest stat. Oh God, what would my lowest stat be? Defense. Defense.
All right, I got one, and then I got two, and then then we'll do a little wrap up. Personal anime character comparison.
I really want to say Killua from Hunter x Hunter, but I know I'm not that cool. I just really like that character. I don't think there's a real life person that deserves that comparison. Probably the baby from Yu Yu Hakusho with the pacifier. What's his name? Oh my God, Koenma.
Oh, fire!
I liked Koenma. He was real assertive, but he was a baby, and I feel like sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I feel like I'm serious, but no one takes me seriously. That's what I feel like. That's why I like calling him up.
All right, so that was Julian and the podcast. Julian, do you have anything else to plug before we say goodbye to you?
Nah. Check out my Instagram though.
Where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, so you said at snakebone_. Snakebone_, like the animal and the body part, and then underscore. That's my Instagram.
All one word.
All one word.
Besides the underscore at the end there.
Yeah. I wanted to get just snakebone, but that wasn't possible.
It's not available?
I think somebody has it. The last I checked.
You should check again. I'm
gonna check. That's my Instagram. My website is julianalexanderstudio.com. So it's JULIAN Alexander normal spelling studio.com. That's where you can find me. That's like my main two sources right now.
Thank you all for listening to the Plan C podcast. Cameron, you got anything?
Not really. I mean, like, I guess I hope y'all are doing well. Hope everyone's happy, peaceful, content, and productive.
Word. All right. Yeah, what he said. I second that. And if you're curious, check out our Instagram and Twitter at plan_C_podcast. Check out our YouTube live streams. We will be streaming Danganronpa for probably our next 3 live streams. We go live on Wednesdays and Fridays. Come check us out. Julian and Cameron could be in the comments. You could talk to them about art. Who knows? You could just DM them. Entirely up to you.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, right? Yeah, thank you so much for your support. Thanks for listening. And anybody's got last words before we check out?
I just want to say thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm glad. I've been trying to get on this for a while, and we finally figured it out, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this was pretty fucking good. I don't know about
you. Good time.
Next time, if I ever come back, we got to do it on the couch. We got to do it right.
Yeah, for sure. But who knows?
Oh, nigga, they're gonna be a next time. We got questions to ask. I got way more baby questions.
Bet. Okay. Bet.
All right, that's it from me.
As well as from me.
Thank you guys
for Lotus, Stolo. You already know.
Stolo.
Cool.
Thank you guys for listening. Cameron, I think you just have to hit stop recording and then we'll be good. We can say goodbye to all these nasty folks. These nasty folks still listening. I'm calling you nasty.
Y'all got corona, all of you.
All of you. You got cooties.
Yikes.
But you know what? If you're mad at me, then just rate us on iTunes.
Yeah, but rate us 5 stars.
Thumbs down.
Give us thumbs up.
Yeah, no, we want a thumbs up. I was kidding about that. You don't have corona. You guys are awesome.
I hope you don't have corona. If you do, though, stay inside.
Stay inside. Wear that face mask.
If you cough on me, it's assault, and I'll punch you.
That is assault. All right. Thank you so much. We are out.
Peace.